The truth about how to make social media work for you. Today's conversation is sponsored by the Billy Keels Advisory Program. If you want to learn more about how to make your 9 to 5 optional, just go to billykeels.com/advising. Once again, that's billykeels.com/advising. The truth about how to make social media work for you was inspired by a recent outing. I actually went to a birthday party with my sons. I had a chance to catch up with a lot of people that I had not seen since the days I was living in France, and it was always great to catch up with old friends, meaning that we've known each other for a long time. Not that they're old in age, because of course I'm not old in age, so therefore the people that are around me are not either. Although I do have a couple more gray hairs. The thing is there was a comment that was made by a friend of mine who I hadn't seen in a while, and it made me think, you know what, I really want to tackle this subject on the podcast, because there is definitely, today you're going to get a truth bomb and maybe a little bit extra vulnerable, because it's important that I get this off of my chest, because it's also one of the things that is key and critical for anyone who is looking to make your 9 to 9, which is now what we're calling it, the 9 to 9 optional. And I want to talk about this whole concept about the truth about how to make social media work for you, because for many years I was getting it wrong. I was absolutely getting it wrong. I fell into the wrong trap, and I was trying to do things in a way that, when I look back on it now, I realize what social media is all about. And that's why I'm going to talk to you about the truth about how to make social media work for you specifically. And this is really important if you are someone who is a corporate executive and you are looking to make your 9 to 9 optional. So I mentioned, I go to this party. I'm there with my sons. We're hanging out with friends. There's a buddy of ours. He's a very young man. I would consider to be today. And when I went to the party, one of the comments was, "Hey, I hadn't seen you in a while. They've seen me on LinkedIn, and they've been listening to the podcast a little bit, but asking about specifically LinkedIn." And they said, "As everything is perfect in your life, it seems like you've got the perfect life." And it made me think. Like, I took a step back, because I was like, well, no, I don't have a perfect life. I'm a recovering perfectionist. I try to do things perfectly, but I don't have a perfect life, far from. And so it took me back into this mindset. Like, it took me back to when I struggled to even start the podcast, right? Because the podcast is also another outlet for social media. And I started realizing, okay, it took me a long time to even post on Facebook when back in the day. And then I was a late adopter for things like Instagram and X and all this kind of stuff. Although I really like LinkedIn. You should check me out over on LinkedIn. And specifically because he was talking about LinkedIn, that's where I thought. And originally when I went on LinkedIn, I used to be in the airports, and I used to really put on this fantastic, like, this is what life is. Like, life is amazing. Life is awesome. And I wanted to share all the good stuff. I wanted to share all the positive stuff. But as life has continued to happen for me, what I'm starting to realize, and I'll talk to you about this once we get to the end, but there's something unique about social media, right? And although initially I wanted to share all of the good stuff, there's something really special about having the humility to be transparent, right? And when I think about a lot of things, that's really what the focus is nowadays. And so, to kind of put it into context, I remember when I was in the corporate world, like, the progress that we would make with clients is because we were always there to help them, number one, listen, be able to identify and help to fix specific problems that they were having. Keep in mind, many of these things are about, they were about making more money, making more efficiency, but also at the end of the day, it was helping someone to meaning a high ranking executive, to achieve on a key performance indicator, or a management by objective, also known as KPIs or MBOs. And in the same way that I would focus on helping them during my corporate life, I started looking at, these are ways that I also want, like, social media should be there to also help, right? Help someone solve an issue, help get closer to an end goal, doing that through education and using a platform like this. And once I started realizing, and I go back to the way life happened for me in 2023, I started realizing that I hid, and I mean, I talked about that. And if you haven't listened before, I would highly recommend that you go listen to episode 435. This episode was one of my favorites in this kind of new version of the podcast, Jerome Myers, really crushed it. Just decided to get on and the microphone, me on one side, him on the other. And it was one of the moments where I just went with the flow, and it was really about being able to share what happened for me in 2023. Definitely worth taking a listen to, because it was at that moment. Then I remember in 2023, I was hiding from the camera. I wasn't in front of the camera. I wasn't wanting to go on social media for the reasons that when you listen to episode 435, you will understand even more so. But I realized, like, even having a podcast that's in the top 1.5% of podcasts, being very active over on LinkedIn, which is where a lot of people and I initially connect. And if we haven't already, please go over there and just connect with me. Let me know you listen to the podcast. It'd be great. But I realized it wasn't about being and showing everything perfectly. Episode 435 helped me to realize something that's really, really important that we'll get to here momentarily. But when I go back and I think about the podcast specifically, because I want to bring it back here, because it also goes into LinkedIn and the social media in general. One of the things that I've realized is that it's about being able to consistently show up. So, for instance, with the podcast, if you go back for the last 4+ years, twice a week for the last 4+ years, you will see that we've published a podcast to be able to be here to give you value, and also recognizing that not every single podcast is perfect, not all of them, but the goal is to continue to help to add value to your life, and we add value by sharing stories, by being able to give you actionable insights so that you can move your life forward from the investment of the time that you have here. And I know one of the things that I consistently talk about is, and it's one of the things that brings me a lot of joy through a social media channel, is like, it's part of the ideal day that I get to live over and over and over again. Like, and you can even talk about or listen to what happens when you are able to live your ideal day over and over again. Check out episode 441. It's a great one. It really will give you insight in terms of what happens when you get a chance to live it over and over again. Now, I think about this and I go back to the social media thing, because I go back to this question from my friend at the party, was like, hey, listen, everything's perfect in your life. And the reality is not. And when you have something traumatic that happens in your life, you start to realize how social media can work for and or against you. And so this is why I'm taking the time, investing the time to share these insights with you, because especially if you are that person, the corporate exec who's looking to make your 9 to 9 optional, this will be one of the main areas and ways that you can create your concept and be able to attract the person that you want to serve, right? It goes into a larger strategy, but this is something that's very actionable that I want to share with you. Because even though you have presence on all of the social media sites, I mean, I'm on pretty much every social media site that the person that I want to be able to speak to would be. And there are moments where I have to say, like, what I'm getting ready to share, like, is this relevant to the person I want to connect with? Is it not relevant? Because depending on if it is or isn't, you go there or you don't go there. And also you have to be in a mindset, in an energy level that really gets you out there and wants to share the story. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that, and getting back to the truth about how to make social media work for you, even after 4.5 years, and even after more than probably at this point, it's over 9 years, almost 10 years on LinkedIn and most of the other Facebook and X and all these kinds of things, what I start realizing is there are still even moments where you feel like it's like, no matter what's going on, that you're still not enough. I've been there. I've struggled through it. I've gone through it online, offline. If you want to find out more about that, check out episode 452. Great insights there that are going to help you as well. What do you do when you feel like you're not being enough? But here's the thing. Even getting to the point of having the social media channels work for you, and I take the LinkedIn comment from the very beginning. Yes, I'm on the social media channels and have relevant followers and things like that, but that's not the key. Here's the key. And this is the truth about how you can make social media work for you. It's about being able to share your true thoughts and insights, not perfection. Like, that's what I was getting wrong. Like, I was trying to show a lot of things in the past, but one of the things that I recognize is, like, today, more and more, it's not about trying to tell you how perfect things are. My goal is to keep it real. because I want to talk to you in a way that shares what is my experience, what are my values, what are my core beliefs. Because you need to know that, because if not, it's either you're going to continue to invest time here, and we're still in the top 1.5% of podcasts globally, so you're sticking around. I appreciate that. My goal is that you continue to get value from every single second that you invest in this podcast, whether you're watching it on video or you're listening to it on audio or both. The goal is to continue to have the humility to be able to share real life stories. Now, it doesn't mean every single thing that happens in your life you're going to put on social media and you're going to keep it real. I mean, there are even things that I can't talk about, even if I want to talk about, because maybe they're a private matter with somebody else. But the idea that you want to use social media to portray that there's this perfection out there, that your life is perfect, that's crap. Almost said it. That's crap. Just have the humility to keep the reality, the level of reality, like keep it real, keep it hunted, as they say, right? Share your thoughts, share your ideas, your goals, talk to the person that you want to be able to serve. That's what social media is about, especially if you're using it as a business tool, which when you're looking to make your 99 optional, guess what? Even though you've been playing on social media with family and friends, this is also a tool. And that's why I'm sharing the truth about how to make social media work for you. Keep it real, keep it hunted. You know what that means? I think you do. So here's the thing. I wanted to keep it brief, keep it short, and I wanted to share the truth about how to make social media work for you. This is a key concept in how you're creating and crafting your unique concept. Something that we're going to talk a lot more about, because this is a key element for you as you are working to make your 9 to 9 optional. It's critical. This is one you're going to want to bookmark. So share this with family, share this with friends. It's about keeping it real. It's about transparency, and it's about not trying to show that everything's perfect. Because if your life is perfect, then I don't know, I guess you're just out and about hanging out all the time, and not listening to the podcast or anything else. So listen, share today's episode with family, with friends, talk about it, share it. One of the things we're also starting to do is have question and answers. You're going to start hearing more of those, because I love it. Send them to me through LinkedIn, send them to me directly through mail or in your reviews, because it's something that I am passionate about, something that I will begin to do more frequently, is answer your questions. We'll have some Q&A and get you what you need, what you want, because that's another way to be able to keep it real and share the truth about how to make social media work for you. Write me a question, I'll give you an answer, and I'll keep it hunted. All right. With that, go out, share the episode, family, friends. I'll be here preparing for the next episode. So until then, go out and make it a great day. And thank you very, very much. Today's conversation was sponsored by the Billy Keels Advisory Program. If you're looking to make your 9 to 5 optional and need some help, just go to billykeels.com/advising. Once again, that's billykeels.com/advising.